All right, so this is transforming the mind and how shifting the perception we have of ourselves modifies our behaviors and things like that, right? Because a lot of the times, unknowingly, whether we know or don't know, our subconscious, which actually holds 70, 80% of information about our, which we render, which our conscious mind renders into reality, is actually summed up and summoned from our subconscious information, right? And our subconscious database. And if we're able to modify and change that, we're actually able to directly modify and change our physical behaviors by the direct proportion to our mental disposition. So, whatever mental disposition we take on is actually going to be whatever physically appears in the third dimension, because all the third dimension is just it's the reverberation, an echo, a solid echo, a slow moving illusion of a sound, of a vibration, because we are actually solid energetic states. And whenever you know how to shift your mental energetic state, you actually basically shift slowly and surely your solid state as well. So this actually helps also heal the body, heal the mind, you know, heal certain cancers and stuff like that, even sicknesses and stuff like that, because it's really just your mind affecting your body. So this actually basically can work in a lot of different ways. This can make you a more beautiful person. This can make you an uglier person, because these are things that we're already doing. But we just want to talk about, transforming the mind and how shifting the perception we have of ourselves, which is basically just modifying and changing our self-image, how we see and feel about ourselves, to change how what we think and do externally, so we become a smarter person, a more influential person, whatever goals we have it is in our minds for ourselves, whether we want to be happier, whether we want to be wealthier, whether we want to have a more optimistic lifestyle, whether we want to get outside of a rooted a certain rooted precept about reality, and we want to begin to view things from a much more wider scope and shit like that. So perception is how one sees and feels about themselves in relationships to the world around them. So based on the relationship we have with ourselves, and based on the perception we have of ourselves, that is the actions and the thoughts and feelings that our minds are going to generate, as far as a set what's possible, as far as what's going to be the possibilities and the impossibilities from your relative point of view and shit like that. So your perception is going to control how you basically interact with the world via how you interact with yourself in the first place. Whether you see yourself as a pigeon or whether you see yourself as an eagle. See, notice that the mind does not care whether you interact with yourself as an eagle or as a pigeon. Your mind will just proceed to generate the behaviors and actions and the emotions and the thoughts and feelings that are associated with the state of being that you resonate with the most. So it's required of you to choose what state of being you want to resonate with, whether you want to be an eagle or whether you want to be a pigeon. See the homeless person on the street and the rich person in the castle, the merely and the spiritual enlightened teacher in the forest, you know what I'm saying, have all chosen to resonate with a specific vibrational state of being for them to generate the behaviors that they are doing, and for them to have the perception to be able to be a storehouse and a informational specialist of that area of expertise, to even express that and stuff like that. So it's a space they are ruling themselves in, the space of teaching and the space of sharing, the space of having wisdom and knowledge, and the space of observing and stuff like that. These are basically our perceptions on our states of being that we are rooted into. So the thoughts and feelings generated creates a state of mind via activating the awareness in an energy body via its design, right? So we have our chakras, right? We have our moon chakra, we got our solar plexus chakra, we got our crown chakra, and all these different things. And so whenever we are participating in the circumstances or viewing the house that is related to that energy based on however we interact with that house, so aka check your house lord in astrology so you can see how you interact with those specific houses and circumstances in your areas. You might have certain blockages, even like let's say you might have a blocked throat chakra. You might be unable to speak about how you feel and stuff like that, based on being depressed, or based on upholding certain systems or traditions that you don't want to uphold. That's causing your spirit to move down, to have some form of weight on top of it, so you not be able to do certain things. So you might have a blocked heart chakra, where you don't allow yourself to feel the world around you based on previously being uh being felt, like fed some type of information related to pain, just shutting down your heart ultimately from sensing, or just being having your heart open to reality, basically, right? Because based on our first sets of experiences, that's going to create our perception as well. It's going to make us view the world in a specific and a certain way, right? So yeah. Right, right. So basically, some people might be afraid to take action, right? Their solar plexus. Some people might be afraid to. So some people might relate too much to people, right? We might be too exposed, too open for other people's individuality, other people's selfishness, other people's egotistical, narcissistic point of views and stuff like that. That's when we become too open. So all these energy bodies, right? Because we all have this cosmic design, we have to have mastery over these energy bodies so we can actually live a healthier, much more wider, much more holistic way, right? And that's part of our shifting our perception, because we might have a perception that doesn't allow us to engage with our, let's say, you know, reality, crown chakra, being able to accumulate wealth and things like that. We might have a, bad perception that does not allow us to access our first eye chakra, right? Our religion might tell us, okay, using your first eye chakra is demonic, blah blah blah, because all it is just going into your yin realm and being able to see things that you don't normally see in the solid reality, as far as the spectrum and stuff like that, right? So these are all energy centers that we all have in reality that we use, but we need to make sure that these things are healthy enough and balanced so we can use that shit for ourselves, so we can be healthy individuals and actually shift our perception and start to use these things efficiently, depending on where you are as far as a, balancing scale, stuff like that, depending on which end you're in, negative or positive, right? So when one's perception is controlled and pre-programmed to when one's perception is controlled and pre-programmed to filter reality, aka the programming you've been handed, whether you're a religious zealot or whether you're a racist or whatever it is, right? We're gonna have to learn how to get out of that, because that's something that someone else gave us, and we can expand our perception beyond the titles and the languages and the skin colors and the things like that, the religions, the traditions, the cultures, which are the cults that we are rooted in. We can learn to expand our perception beyond those things, but we have to accept and understand that these things that we think and feel that are systemized as far as laws, rules, and regulations are all created via the mind of a man and a woman that just understood and was able to observe the mechanism of something, so that gave them greater access to create something, right? Rather than us worshiping it and being rooted in it and filtering reality through it. So if you're a religious person, let's say Islam or Christianity, you might call God Allah, or if you're Christian, you might call God God, or whatever religion you are from. You need to understand that all these monotheistic point of views or whatever came from a man's perception. And it's not that it's good or bad. You just gotta understand how to read between the lines so you can actually filter the information that's actually being processed by your mind and the ones that perhaps have been pre-programmed in you, so you can see the bigger picture in that and not be rooted and stuck in that, right? Real shit. Okay, so remember, our perception or reality, how we filter reality, it generates a script that approves and disapproves varying spectrums of high and low vibrations of energy on the mental plane, that becomes physical behaviors that are carried out by the awareness the mind is vibrating on, right? So because it's a script that our mind is running, right? Certain thoughts and feelings, certain patterns, and these patterns have energies, aka these are like patterns of power that our mind jumps into based on that being a pre-programmed subconscious behavior that we do in many different ways, filtered out consciously in reality, right? Because when your subconscious runs 80% of your information, you got to understand what behaviors, what patterns of power do you have that take place, that are ran subconsciously, that cause you to generate certain behaviors, aka the perception that you are rooted in, right? That's why it's so important to understand the script that your mind is running, so you can start to modify that script. Whether you're afraid of taking certain actions, whether you're afraid of standing up for yourself. Maybe you're too timid. Maybe you're too docile and shit like that. And for you to edit that script, whatever it is it may be, maybe you're scared of leaving a religion or some shit like that that you read. You gotta edit that script because all it is just something telling you no, don't do it. But it's a mental thing, and that's just you trying to jump into the unknown. Because everyone's scared of the dark, right? But the dark is basically the light, because the all darkness is it's just all colors smeared into black, and that just means that within that black there is varying spectrums of light as well. So think about when you go to your dream, when you sleep, you close your eyes, you go into the darkness, and you have a dream. A light comes out of that darkness, because all darkness is black. It's all colors mixed in together, and things are born out of that and shit like that, right? So that's why they say, oh, the world's born out of the invisible. So you have quantum physicists trying to study the hidden quantum fields and blah, trying to figure out what's the hidden mechanisms behind the universe and shit like that. And that's what we're discussing right now. There's a hidden mechanism, which is basically the spirit that's moving your mind, which is basically this temple of God and stuff like that, to animate, but someone is in control of that animation process of you. You're supposed to animate your spirit through a mind and control that, understand what the fuck you're doing, but we let someone else control how we animate the set of possibilities that our mind generates through whatever perception we are rooted in. You get what I'm saying? So we don't wake up in the morning thinking, okay, we can become millionaires. We didn't wake up in the morning thinking, okay, I'm going to do what I love today. We sacrifice our life for someone else's bullshit, someone else's entertainment that we don't reap money from, someone else's education system that doesn't really educate and help us. It just fuck up our life, really. Get us hundred thousands of dollars in debt and all that shit. Or the politics that doesn't even help us, the people. It only helps the political elite and stuff like that, right? So all these things is just sets of possibilities that they have rooted our perceptions in via planting seeds at an early age in our minds, and making us think and believe and have faith in these things, and make us invest our energy into that, pay attention to that, and animate that reality. Because all the government is just a giant mechanism, a giant series of mechanisms that we animate with our living being and shit like that. Because all these licenses and all that shit. But I ain't hating on. I'm not hating on nothing like that. It's just that we gotta understand what we're inside of, so we can actually begin to have the real changes that we really want to have, right? Because if we're not understanding what's actually happening on the mental level, how we're ruled over subconsciously, then we're not going to understand how to actually consciously and deliberately begin to modify and change our reality. Because I'm not talking about sitting back and going to the past, to your memories, and be like, this happened to me when I was a child. I need to let go of this memory. Whatever happened to a person, right? That make them not do the stuff that God put them here to do. I'm talking about consciously and deliberately, just like how your heart is beating, just like how your heart expands and contracts. I'm talking about expanding consciously and deliberately into the situations that you need to be in to be healthy, wealthy, wise, and in a great relationship with yourself, and contracting so you can learn from those things, right? So, real shit. I'm not talking about no, this is like I'm a shift now to the reality that I want to shift, not tomorrow, not next week. So, because the mind is our bitch to use, and we generate our mind states. So we might as well generate some powerful shit in this motherfucker, real shit. So, which are like energetic road highways. So whatever state of mind that we are vibrating on, those are like energetic roads and highways that lead to varying sets of possibilities, right? Based on the awareness that we are rooted in. If animalistic, it's going to lead us to animalistic experiences, like us being afraid, us being scared, and shit like that, aka being mentally hideous. So this is somebody who doesn't know how to be angelic, how to separate from feelings that are reactions that are negative, that make them weak, that make them gullible and shit like that. uh you know real shit, real shit. So you gotta know how to be angelic and how to separate from the baggages, which is basically you being understanding how to recycle yourself understanding what type of cycle that you are in via looking at what patterns of power take place inside of you, because it's a specific set of energies that are flowing through you. And when you're able to detect that, you're able to modify and create an antidote and a vaccine mentally. So let's say you're someone who experienced a childhood of fear. You would grow up to do and be and experience fearful things because that is the perception that you are rooted in. So once you create the antidote, which is confidence, right? You're going to be able to face those experiences or create new experiences via that new belief that shows you that, hey, if you're confident, you can get over those things and not be scared of those things, and you can actually overcome those situations. So basically, this whole video was basically just about shifting the energetic state, because whatever energetic state we are in, that's the energetic state that's going to manifest. And transforming the mind is nothing but just basically being able to take one go from one point to the next point, which is just basically being able to go through to start having a new belief about yourself, and create new experiences about that belief, right? Because you gotta loop reality. You gotta subconsciously believe it, to consciously experience it, and then to have faith in that, and then you just keep accumulating. You keep accumulating because you gotta experience in life. You gotta have faith in yourself. So if you don't experience in life, you're not gonna know what's impossible and what's possible for you right now, and then you're able to kind of like walk to that possibility that you want to manifest. So yeah, real shit. This was transforming your potential. We all have the ability to shift our perceptions and shit like that. So make sure you take advantage of what the mind really is. It's just a script generating mechanism that gives us possibilities and impossibilities based on the state of mind that we are resonating with. And when you take control of your state of mind, your state of being, you become the spirit that's the authority over your temple of God. You're not allowing demons, thought forms, feelings from the past to to fuck up the future that you're trying to manifest. Then you become the ruling figure. You become the authority, and you tell these demons, these feelings that don't let you move forward in life, to sit down, and you actually begin to go forward with the things that you want to create, because now you're creating entities that are resonating with a state of being of success and possibilities, and being a good learner, accepting, creating principles that are around the ideas of, yes, I can, this is possible for me, and I am deserving of this, and I am worthy, and I am valuable, and these things, rather than being in that slave matrix mind. Real shit. I love y'all from the goddamn bottom of my heart. Real shit.